I'm going to make an assertion. That assertion is this. Most people don't love truth. They want to make true that which they love. We're going to read a story in Mark chapter 14 about a man that Jesus said is the greatest man ever born of a woman. And he made some political assertions that got him thrown in jail and eventually cost him his life. I am going to talk about our political climate, and I'm going to turn some friends into frenemies and some friends into enemies. But it's all good, because the truth is the light, and as my dad says, the light shines all over. So I'm going to read the story first. It says in Mark 14, at that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus and said unto his servants, "This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him." For Herod had laid hold on John and bound him and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. For John said unto him, "It is not lawful for thee to have her." And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she being before instructed of her mother, said, "Give me here John Baptist's head in a charger." And the king was sorry, nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded that it be given to her, and he sent and beheaded John in prison. And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. And his disciples took up the body and buried it and went and told Jesus. There's so much in this story that's so similar to right now. What do you mean? Well, John the Baptist said something that was politically incorrect. So they threw him in jail. He offended somebody. And so that person that he offended used their political power and their political influence to have him killed. Human nature doesn't change. By the way, some of you are probably wondering, who's Myron going to vote for? Who's Myron going to tell me to vote for? I'm not going to tell you to vote for. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'll tell you this, if you educate yourself on both candidates, on all the candidates that are going to be coming up in our elections, then vote. If you don't educate yourself, stay home and watch television. Like, everybody should vote. No, not stupid people. Not people who are ignorant about the facts, whatever the facts are. You say, Myron, who are you going to vote for? None of your business. That's who I'm going to vote for. None of your business. I believe that we are in a situation in the United States of America that we are under such intense judgment because all we have to choose from is Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And there are no political saviors. None. Kamala Harris is not a political savior. Donald Trump is not a political savior. Did I say that too fast? I told you I was going to make some. Look at it. There are no political saviors. Only God can save us. And he will only do that if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. Then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Here's what's interesting about the truth. People don't like the truth because the truth requires that you change, because it can't change. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a very controversial subject. That subject is truth. We live in an age where even the word truth is subject to being attacked. We talk about your truth and my truth and his truth and her truth. But I submit to you, there's no such thing as your truth. And there's no such thing as my truth. And there's no such thing as his truth or her truth. There's only the truth, and anything that's not the truth is a lie. Some say there's no such thing as absolute truth. My question for them would be, is that absolutely true? Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Arthur Schopenhauer said, all truth passes through 3 stages. First, it's ridiculed. Secondly, violently opposed. Third, accepted as being self-evident. Elvis Presley, this is one of my favorite ones. The truth is like the sun. You can shut it out for a time, but it ain't going away. C.S. Lewis said, if you look for the truth, you may find comfort in the end. If you look for comfort, you will not get either comfort nor truth. Only soft soap of wishful thinking to begin, and in the end, you'll have despair. And Albert Einstein said, anyone who doesn't take the truth seriously in small matters cannot be trusted in large ones either. Whew. My favorite truth quote outside of scripture of all times would be Winston Churchill. And he said, truth is incontrovertible. Ignorance may deride it. Malice may attack it. But in the end, there it is. My favorite all-time quote about truth, period, is this. If you continue in my words, then are you my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And see, here's the problem. We live in a world where people don't know the truth. And they are in the bondage of their own ignorance of truth. So what am I going to say about this story of John the Baptist? What can I say about truth in an age where it's just everybody says whatever's convenient? Well, I'm going to say this first and foremost. Discover the truth and see its consistency. It doesn't change. If something was true a long time ago, it's still true today. No, I got to take that back. That's because that's not necessarily true. If something was truth a long time ago, it's still truth today. Because what's true can change. What's truth cannot change. See, it's true right now. We are here at MG Studio Media Headquarters. We're here right now. That's true right now. It won't be true tonight. Because y'all might be here, but I ain't going to be here. So what's truth can't change. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to challenge you to listen to the words that I am saying, to evaluate for yourself whether they make sense or not, and then hold yourself responsible and accountable to God for what you do next. I'm not going to call anybody a name. I'm not going to call any political candidates a name. I'm not going to call anybody who votes for any political candidate a name. I'm not going to be intentionally sensational or offensive. I'm going to say some things that are true and that are based on truth that may offend some people. There's nothing I can do to fix that. And if I could, I wouldn't do it anyway. Just so you know who you're dealing with. But I'm going to challenge you to listen to what I say and how I say it and see if maybe you can start having some open and honest conversations about controversial things so that we can conserve a livable landscape in the United States of America for our children and grandchildren. But I'm going to tell you something. It's a tragic age when political candidates are willing to sacrifice our children and grandchildren on the altar of sexual perversion. I'm not calling anybody a name. I'm just saying there's no universe in which I could ever vote for somebody who wants to tell my granddaughter that if she thinks she's a boy, she's a boy. There's no universe. Do you understand? They're attempting to make it illegal and in some places it probably is, to make it illegal for me to even say what I just said. Right? Because anything that differs from the loudest voices, we call it hate speech. I don't hate anybody. I just love the truth more than I love anybody. And when I can see, I believe that the greatest threat to the future of our families, of our nation, of our world, the greatest existential threat is the promotion of LBGQ. I don't even know how to say it. Whatever the letters are. You know what I'm talking about. The homosexual transgender agenda is the greatest threat to our existence. Now, you say, how can you say, Myron, that's the greatest threat? Here's how I can say it's the greatest threat. Because if everybody in the world decides today they're homosexuals, the world will have no human population in one generation. We're done. It's anti-life. It's anti-life, it's anti-Bible. God did not send fire and brimstone from heaven to destroy Egypt when they had the Israelites in slavery for 400 years. But he sent fire and brimstone. God sent hell from heaven to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because the men were beating on Lot's door with their violent fists and their violent voices, demanding that Lot send out angels so that they could sexually abuse them. And we're afraid, like, what's happened, they've made so much noise and gotten so much. See, we act like, so some people say, well, Myron, you're just a homophobic bigot. Okay, but that calling me a name does not negate anything I'm saying. So if you want to argue the facts, argue the facts. But you calling me a name does not change anything I said. I'm not going to call you a name. I'm just going to talk about the facts. And the fact is, I have a son, I have a daughter, I have a granddaughter. I have every right to guide and lead and protect them. I had every right to guide and lead and protect them until they became adults. My daughter and my son-in-law have every right to protect my granddaughter from all threats, foreign and domestic, until she becomes an adult. And for a bunch of political adults under the guise of equal rights. And it's not equal rights. How can I say this? I don't know another word. I'm offended, dumbfounded, stupefied by the fact that black people in the United States of America, that we have not marched to make sure that the world understands that we separate ourselves from this homosexual agenda. So much of the prosperity of the United States of America was built on the backs of our ancestors as free labor. And now, people who have a sexual perversion. And here's what I mean when I say, you said, Myron, you're not gonna call people names. I'm not calling a name. The word perverse means to use something for something other than its original design. And a woman was created for a man. A woman wasn't created for a woman, and a man wasn't created for a man. And you know why everybody's silent? Because everybody's afraid. Everybody's afraid. Oh, I'm gonna get canceled. Oh, people are gonna call me names. I don't want people to call me names. I'm not mad at homosexuals. I am absolutely dumbfounded, irritated, aggravated, and stupefied that we would allow them to take the plight of our ancestors and associate it with sexual perversion and not even open our mouths about it. I'm like, ladies, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? You're letting these people talk about, we're letting boys go into girls' bathrooms? And we're acting like that's normal? It's not normal. It's perverse. We're letting men go into women's locker rooms and sporting events. Everything about it is wrong. We're letting men beat up on women in Olympic competitions under the guise he's a biological man. That's the only kind of man there is. There are only biological men. And there are only biological women, and a man can't become a woman, and a woman can't become a man. I don't care what you cut off, and I don't care what you put on. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and they are not the same, and neither yet can they be. You say, why are you making so much noise? I have a 5-year-old granddaughter. They want boys in her bathrooms in public places. I know the mind of a man. He don't need to be in no girl's bathroom. And every man in here say amen. And we're acting like we want to coddle people and give special rights so that they don't feel offended, and we're willing to sacrifice our children on that altar? Everything's wrong with that. Everything's wrong with that. I saw yesterday some kid who was a wrestler. He saw that he was going to have to wrestle a girl. He said, I'm not doing it. He worked his whole life to get to the place where he could wrestle for this championship. He saw it's a girl. I'm not going to do it. He gave up his life's dream because we live in a society that looks at perversion, and we try to make it make sense to make people who are perverted feel normal. What about making normal people feel normal? What about that? What about protecting our daughters? What about protecting our sons? We don't allow children to buy alcohol. We don't allow them to buy cigarettes. We won't allow them to buy lottery tickets, but we will allow them to take puberty blockers, sterilize themselves, and have their body parts chopped off so people with sexual perversion can feel okay. Everything's wrong with that. And shame on all of us for not opening our mouths in private conversations and in public conversations and going along and acting like it's okay. I don't even use the word gay to describe sexual perversion, sodomy. The Bible calls it sodomy. What else does it call it? An abomination. What does an abomination mean? God hates it. How much does he hate it? He sent hell from heaven to destroy 2 cities for that very thing. He didn't even send fire and brimstone from heaven when they crucified Jesus. You say, Myron, why are you talking about this? Because the truth needs to be told. Somebody has to talk about it. Somebody needs to think about it. You're going to vote for somebody because of the color of their skin? By the way, I'm not just talking about black people voting for Kamala Harris either. Because there are white people who won't vote for Kamala Harris just because she's black. And there are black people who won't vote for Donald Trump just because he's white. And I'm here to tell you on both fronts that has nothing to do with it. See, here's an interesting thing. I'm going to help white folks understand something about black people. I know, because I is. I'm going to help y'all understand something. Here's what I want you to understand. For 200 years, white people have told our ancestors and us the most important thing about us is that we are black. Martin Luther King said it's not the color of a man's skin, but it's the content of our character. And now a very large number of black people have bought into this idea. If it's black, it's got to be okay. And you say, well, you can't just vote for them because they're black. There's more important things than that. They got the idea from you. Not from you, but from your ancestors. That's where it came from. Now, I'm not attempting to offend anybody. But sometimes the truth hurts. But sometimes that hurt helps. Don't vote for somebody because of the color of their skin, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, because of their race. I'm going to tell you something. There's only one race, the human race. Racism is not the offspring of race. Race is the offspring of racism. If there were no racism, race would not exist because everybody would know there's only one race, the human race. And because somebody has a different color, the guy, and man, I wish I could remember his name. The guy who invented the blood transfusion was a black doctor. Like, he's the one who created the blood transfusion. And he needed a blood transfusion when he died, but they wouldn't give him blood because they would only give him blood from black people. They wouldn't give him white blood. There's no white blood. There's red blood, and there's red blood. And white people have red blood, and Asian people have red blood, and black people have red blood, and Indian people have red blood. Everybody has red blood. Hispanic people, everybody, red blood. Everybody's blood is red. The color of our skin? Let's do this. Let's look at the incontrovertible truth. Let's discover the truth and see its consistency. If we discover the truth of the fact that the only race is the human race, then we could love everybody despite their skin color. See, I know that what I'm saying is not comfortable, and I know it's not easy to hear because it's not easy to say. However, We can't silence ourselves and go along to get along based on something that does not determine our future. If somebody does not like me because of my position, that is their problem. If somebody doesn't like me because of my disposition, that's my problem. I think Donald Trump's biggest problem is his ego's too big. I'm not going to call any names, so what am I going to say? He's got an ego that's bigger than Alaska and Texas combined. And he needs people to think he's awesome. That's his biggest problem. And he's not a good person. Let's stop pretending that he's the chosen one. He's not even a good person. You wouldn't want him in a room alone with your daughter. I wouldn't want him in a room alone with my daughter. Let's don't be confused about it. Can't act like his disposition is horrible. It's horrible. Like, if you weren't so petty and childish, people would like you. At least they'd have an opportunity to. Is that too real? I'm gonna make a statement. I think Kamala Harris is way more poised than Donald Trump. Way more poised than Donald Trump. Her disposition is way better than his. Like, universes better than his. Her positions, kind of scary. Tim Walz, off the charts scary. Anybody who wants tampons in an elementary school boy's bathroom has a problem. I didn't know what a tampon was when I was in elementary school. I'm not sure I knew what one was when I was in junior high. It's insane. I didn't say somebody was insane. I said that is insane. There's nothing about that makes sense. Donald Trump offending black people, riling up racist hate groups. It's so nonsensical. Nothing about it makes any sense. And you know what it shows? We are under judgment. That's what it shows. We're under judgment. We've been under judgment for a long time. I don't know that we've had a good political candidate in decades. Like, it's the lesser of two evils. Well, the lesser of two evils is still evil. Declare the truth regardless of consequences. See, that's why I can't be a politician. You say, "Mayor for president." There's no universe. I'm not a good enough liar to be a president or any politician. Even if I were a politician, I couldn't get elected because I would just tell the truth. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't. You ain't getting elected. You're gonna tell the truth. You got to lie to somebody so you can get their votes. Despise the truth, and you will want to silence the communicator. That's exactly what happened. Herodias, Philip's wife, Herod's brother's wife, didn't like the fact that he said it wasn't lawful for Herod to have her, and she hated him. She said, I want you to kill him. He said, I ain't killing him. I kill him, they gonna kill me. He was thinking politically. I'm afraid of the multitude. Because they count him as a prophet. But see, here's what sexual perversion does. His niece and stepdaughter, how weird is that, did some kind of perverse dance in front of him and his friends and got them all sexually riled up. And he promised to give her anything she wanted. And she already had orders from headquarters, her evil mother. Give me John Baptist's head on a charger. I can only imagine. I don't know that this is true, but it seems like something I would have probably done. I would imagine that he smiled right before they let the guillotine down, before they lowered the axe. And I would imagine that Herodias' daughter and Herodias had bad dreams about John the Baptist's smiling head for the rest of their lives. At least I'd like to imagine that. If you despise the truth, you will silence the communicators. Here's what I'm going to say. If want to know the truth about something, check out whether or not people are attempting to silence the voice. If somebody's trying to silence something, trying to get it so nobody can hear it, that's probably the truth. Do you realize that the homosexual movement, that's one of the things I'm talking about right now, sexual perversion, because I'm tired of sacrificing our children on this altar. It doesn't make any sense. If you want to know the truth, the reality is the homosexual transgender movement has more in common with antebellum slavery, Nazism, apartheid, and Marxism than it ever had in common with black people in America. It's more like the oppressors, not like the oppressed. Let's don't be confused about it. You say, Myron, what does that mean? Just like they are attempting to silence the voices that oppose them, it was against the law to speak out against slavery. If you lived in Germany during World War II, it was against the law to speak out against Adolf Hitler. It was against the law to speak out against Karl Marx. See, if you want to know the truth about something, the truth is the thing that the evil multitude is attempting to silence. You don't have to be afraid of a lie. A lie doesn't have to be, the truth doesn't have to be afraid of a lie, but a lie must be afraid of the truth. Let me ask you a question. If somebody is posting videos on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, and standing on the street corner with a bullhorn saying, the sky is green and the grass is blue, we're going to make a law that says they can't say that? No, we're going to let people use their own minds and look up at the sky and look down at the grass and figure it out for themselves. We're not worried that that's going to somehow negatively impact people's perception of the color of the sky or the color of grass. Why? Because we have to let people use their brains to discern truth. Not legislate that you can't talk about things that the political leaders think should not be talked about so that they can continue in the evil direction that they are going. Pride Month, Pride Week. Do you know what pride is? It's a sin. It's the worst of the sins. It's the first sin. It's the sin from which we're celebrating pride. Let's celebrate humility. Well, despise the truth and you'll want to silence the communicators. Like, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying a person doesn't have a right to be a homosexual and do whatever in their like you have a right. It's not right, but you have a right. You have a right to be wrong in a free country. Right? A person has a right to be a homosexual. They don't have a right to recruit my children and make me be quiet about it. Are you tracking? You have a right to be a homosexual. You have a right to be a racist. You have a right to be a racist. Everybody can see that it doesn't make any sense. Like any thinking person can see racism is stupid. Any thinking person. So you got to make a law to make it against the law to speak? No. Let people's lies that they spew reveal to the world who they are and let the chips fall where they may. But let people think. If you start taking away the conversation, what happens is people no longer have enough information with which to come to a conclusion. So, discern who's telling the truth by seeing the contradictions and cover-ups. Look at the contradictions, look at the cover-ups. And yes, I know there are contradictions and cover-ups on both sides. What are they contradicting? What are they covering up? Now, I'm going to say this. People say that Kamala Harris is stupid. People say that Donald Trump is a racist. I don't believe either one of those things is true. I don't believe Donald Trump is a racist. I could be wrong. I don't think he's a racist. People say Kamala Harris is stupid. I don't think Kamala Harris is stupid. At all. Not even close. But let's stop ignoring the contradictions. I'm talking about Donald Trump supporters. I'm talking about Kamala Harris supporters. I'm talking about Barack Obama supporters. I'm talking about Joe Biden supporters. I'm talking about Ronald Reagan supporters. Let's stop acting like any of those people are perfect. And let's look at the future of our children and the world they're going to have to live in, and see if the world that the political candidates are promoting is the world you want or your children and your grandchildren to grow up in. Discern who's telling the truth by seeing the contradictions and cover up. And lastly, defend the truth regardless of what it costs you. It's going to alienate people in your family. Like somebody wants to vote, somebody in my family, like here's what I'm going to tell you, vote for who you want to vote for. Just know, let me say this before I even talk about voting. Let me say this about voting. I forgot about this part. I am not fully persuaded that voting for anybody does anything except make you feel like you did something. I'm almost fully persuaded that it doesn't do anything. I'm not fully persuaded but I'm almost fully persuaded it doesn't do anything except make you feel like you have power that you will never have. In case it works, though, I do it. Just in case. That little smidgen of a chance that it does something, I'm gonna vote. But I'll tell you what, my help cometh from above. Defend the truth regardless of what it costs you. Stand for it when you're talking to people in your family. Stand for it when you're talking to people in your community. Stand for it as you're talking to the teachers and protecting your children from this evil agenda that desires to send them down a path that is unrecoverable. It's unrecoverable. I'm going to say it again. I said it already. I'm going to say it again. We won't let children buy cigarettes. We won't let children buy alcohol. We won't let children get tattoos. We won't let children buy lottery tickets. But we will protect them from their parents who are protecting them from us. Taking children. There are some states where they already take children out of their parents' home because their parent didn't affirm the confusion that the miseducational, misdirectional system guided them on the path they guided them on. And they will use government money to fund the mutilation of children's bodies. Like what's more evil than that? Let's protect our children. They're children. Yeah, okay, I get it. You want to be a homosexual. That's your business. You want to be a prostitute. That's your business. You want to have your sex changed. That's your business. Not our children. And see, here's what's amazing. People who disagree with that are afraid to speak out. But I've seen videos of them marching down the streets in New York City, chanting out loud in public, "We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children." Go look it up on YouTube. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up yourself. Your children. You know why? They can't have children. They have to come for yours. It's the only way they can perpetuate their perverted sexual desires. Somebody better stand for the truth and protect our children against this evil agenda. Because I'm going to tell you something. All of us are going to have to answer to God for what we do and what we don't do, for what we say and what we don't say. Here's what I'm going to challenge you to do, though. As you're having these conversations with people about sensitive subjects, be sensitive to the fact that it's a sensitive subject. Have a very strong position, but have a soft disposition. Communicate the truth in love. Speak the truth in love. That's what the scripture says. Speak the truth in love. I like what my daughter says. The truth should never travel without love. She says, speak the truth in love. I forgot now. Yeah, truth shouldn't travel faster than love. But I always say that love should never travel without the truth. And both of those are essential. Let's treat people good regardless of their decisions, unless they're coming for my kids now. Like somebody breaks into my house, I ain't gonna treat them good. They're gonna get a totally different greeting. Somebody trying to abduct my granddaughter, you're gonna get a totally different response. Let's have the conversations and stop being silent about the things we believe so that the world can know we are no longer the silent majority. Because I'm going to tell you something. A friend of mine said this to me this week, Pastor Kenny Grant. He said, "Man, I'm going to tell you something. Your voice is more important than your vote." And there's no doubt in my mind that your voice and my voice will do worlds more than our votes. So, let's go protect our children. Let's seek to know what policies are going to affect them positively and negatively moving forward. And let's not just be afraid of people hurting our feelings, regardless of where that is. Let's be afraid of people hurting our future. Thank you for watching this video. I trust that it blesses you. I hope that it challenges you. And I hope that you can see that I am not telling you who to vote for. I'm just telling you to be responsible and weigh all of the data. Stay blessed by the best. In the meantime, in between time, we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.